All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Release the Quacken episode. This is season 2, episode 2, and we're talking about how our Dumbo training and everything's going. Tonight, we're joined by Jody.
Hi, friends.
We got Gene with us.
Hello.
Kevin will be joining us here shortly in theory, but he's having some technical difficulties. Those engineering people struggle with that sometimes. But he's going to be jumping on. And then we got our friend Ben joining us tonight. How you doing, Ben?
Good. How are you doing, guys?
Not too bad. So if you guys remember, we're doing these in 2-week increments now. So first 2 weeks of Dumbo training is done. We also have a side bet going on how many runs that Gene skips. We had that currently set at 7. I think 7.5 is what the Vegas odds had. So let's check in there first before we get into training. Where are we sitting on that, Gene?
So I ran twice last week, the first week. And so I missed one that week. And this week I have not run a step. However, I have been on my feet every day, all day. So I've gotten in at least 5 miles a day, several different days. So I don't know if that counts or not. I'm not the one to make that judgment, but technically, I guess I'm 4 behind right now. So,
all right. So we're 2 weeks in. You're 4 down. I think my 7.5 is going to be well under. we're going to take the over for this for sure. So, Jody.
I can't wait for Kevin to get here to see if he's even found his running shoes yet.
Right.
That was what my big curiosity was. Like, did he discover where they are in his house?
You think I'd learn run a race being undertrained? I've never run a race where I was trained. I have every intention. This time, I've never started like this, though. You think I'd learn?
Starting at that zero base and still not training. I get it. Jody, how's your training going? You got a little bit different plan going on than everybody else. You weren't here last time, so why don't you fill people in and let us know what your fall calendar is looking like and how you're doing the winter.
Yeah, so I definitely have a different training plan going on, and I think Ben and I are both doing Marine Corps. So I think he's doing a little bit of a more aggressive run than I'm doing. So I have the Queen Bee Half Marathon, which is the sister series of the Flying Pig. I have that in mid-October. Last year, that was a big goal race for me to PR my time. This year, I'm just using it as a training race or training run. And I keep trying to tell myself that I'm just using it as a training run. Super hilly course, but excited about it. I've got Marine Corps at the end of October. I'm doing Goofy in Disney World. Tim's doing the half in Disney World. And then I'm also doing the challenge and the 5K out in California.
Gotcha.
So I am on a little bit of a different plan because I've got a couple more races before then.
Does the Queen Bee have the same course as the Flying Pig, or is it different?
It's harder, in my opinion.
Oh.
It starts, you start at the casino and start with a climb. That's your start, is climbing up Eden Park Hill.
Is there bacon at the top of the hill for the
No, there's no bacon on that course. I promise you. No bacon.
All right. Now, what about you, Ben? You're doing the Marine Corps 50K, is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. So I was supposed to run it in 2020, but of course it got postponed. And this is the last year that I can defer to that. So, yep, we're going to do it. And then doing the full marathon. So last year, it was my last year to run Dopey. So this year, I'm going to run the full marathon at Walt Disney World. We're going to run the 5K with the kids. They're all coming down with us as well. So we're going to do a family event on it, full marathon, and then flying out and doing the half marathon at Disneyland.
All right. So you're doing the 5K on Thursday, hanging out Friday and Saturday, and then you're running the full on Sunday.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure that, and then you fly home and then you fly back out?
Yes.
Okay. And then Gene was trying to do some math there. For those of us who are not great at math, a 50K is what?
31.6
miles. Yeah. So thereabouts. It's a redemption.
I didn't carry the one. Okay.
Yeah, forgot to carry the one. For me, it's a redemption race because I signed up to do a 50K a couple of years ago. But I missed the final, the fine print that said that it was a trail 50K, and I struggled with it very much. And I think 11 hours to complete it. But my thing was, I'm gonna complete it, and that's gonna be the end of it. But so it was more of a redemption thing in my head. So
Well, most people do struggle with the Barkley. I mean, 11 hours is great, Ben.
Yeah.
For that.
Ben, Jeff, I'm not trying to knock it to you, but I just have a quick question for Ben. Do they have the same gauntlet and cutoffs for the 50K as they do for the full marathon for Marine Corps?
Yes, I believe so. Yep. So I know for like 12 miles, I think it's up to 12 miles. There's a gauntlet at that point, and it's like a 12.5-minute mile. And then anything after that, I think is like a 14-minute mile, but I'm not sure exactly, but I've got to look at all the details of it. But yeah, there's many different gauntlet areas that if you're not by that time, you get swept.
Yeah. That's making me a little nervous.
They don't have balloon ladies.
Yeah.
They're Marines, Gene.
Yeah.
It's not quite as friendly of a sweep there.
No. Not as friendly.
Some Force Recon guys just shoving you off the road.
You're just getting thrown into an unmarked van and carried off, and you
right.
Well, Ben didn't finish. We might not see Ben again.
Right. Man, get a good boot camp.
Maggot. They call you Maggot when you're,
Right.
Are you going out solo to Disneyland, or your family joining you for that trip too?
No, I'm going out solo for it.
Gotcha. Kevin joined us in here. Kevin, have we found our shoes yet? How's your training going? I think Kevin's real still. All right. Kevin might not have joined us like we thought he would.
I'm here.
All right.
Very
Very
good.
good.
All right. I have found my shoes. So that's the first step.
Very nice.
The next step is putting them on, right? But I haven't done that yet.
So
But I'll get there.
they've been located, but they haven't been laced up.
They haven't been laced up. Still working on how to run with hearing aids and all that. So once I figure that out, I don't want to get run over. So once I get that figured out, I think I'll be ready to go.
Aftershocks.
Yep.
I wonder if how those would work.
I don't know.
Be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So my training for the last 2 weeks have been pretty uneventful as well. I got out and walked a couple of days the first week. Tried to do my 3 miles and kind of took a misstep and rolled a knee a little bit. I've been a Brooks Ghost fan for the last probably 4 years. It's about all I wore. But I decided to change shoes up a little bit and go with the A6 with some stability rails in it to kind of help keep my feet more level. Hopefully that'll help my strike when I land a little bit and keep me from rolling knees and things like that. So this week I kind of took some time off, trying to get the knees back to normal a bit, and then went out for today. And a lot of pollen and stuff in the area right now, so it's just breathing's a little rough. So I didn't get any of the runs completed the way they're supposed to, but at least I got out there a couple of days. So, and with the Dumbo plan, I think there's plenty of room to catch up. We're only going up to 13 miles. I mean, only 13 miles, but there's still room to catch up on that. So I'm not.
What was the Dumbo? What were you guys supposed to do this past week? Because I'm on a totally different plan, so I don't even know what you all were supposed to run.
The first week is 45, 45, 30, or 3 miles. Second week was 45, 45, 4 miles.
Okay.
So.
What are stability? What did you say? Stability.
Rails. In the shoes on the sides, they have like extra, like hard pieces of plastic or something on the sides of them.
Okay.
To kind of keep your feet from rolling. It kind of keeps it more centered.
Yeah.
So.
And my running shoes have the guide rails on those. They're the Ravenna that used to be those, and they don't make those anymore, but they've gone to the Launch GTS. Mm-hmm. So those have the guide rails if you're looking for Brooks.
Right.
Kind of like the rails whenever you bowl, but just for shoes.
Right. It's basically the same thing.
Those are buffers.
It's exactly the same.
Right. Okay. Exactly the same.
So Ben, why don't you talk a little bit about your Run Disney history? I mean, you've kind of ran a bunch of things, and I think you've done Disneyland races in the past. Is that true?
I have not.
Oh,
no,
so
this will be my first.
All right.
But as far as Disney, Run Disney races in general, Kristen and I started, I think it was 2016, 2017. We signed up for, the 10K, and it was funny because my wife signed up for it, talking to friends, because she's moms of multiples because we have twin girls, and someone had mentioned it, and she's like, hey, it sounds great. It sounds fun. So she got me into it, and we went into it that first year and found the lizards, because of, the Be Our Guest podcast. And as soon as we got out there, I think it was that first year we met Lonnie and Jean in the corrals. But that first year, as soon as we got there, I'll be completely honest with you, we ran a 10K. We didn't know what we were doing, had no clue about it. It started raining on us, right at the, standing in the corrals and everything else, or, in the area before you get to the corrals. And we thought, okay, well, we're done. And everybody's like, all right, well, we're going to the corrals. Well, we take off our ponchos and go into the corrals. We're ready to run. And then you get to the corrals and you stand there and you stand there and you stand there. So then we got completely drenched on that. But it was a good race. I think that, in my opinion, as soon as we ran the race, I automatically was, I don't know. I was looking forward to more, so I was thinking that, okay, I've already run the 10K. Now what? So that next year, I signed up for Goofy, and then Kristen had signed up just for the half marathon. And I'll say that half marathon, just the half marathon.
Yeah.
It was the year that it was, frigid cold. So that was what, 2017?
Yeah.
18, I believe.
Yeah. So it was,
Was it- is
27
that right?
degrees, wind chill of 15.
Both years were cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the year they had canceled the half marathon because of the rain. Kristen had said that, she was done with it, and then they came out and announced, hey, we're going to give you the opportunity to either get a refund, run another half marathon at a later time, or jump up to the full marathon at no additional charge. Kristen's like, no, I'm done. She thought about it for a little bit. She said, I'm gonna go ahead and try it, just because I would never willingly sign up for She said, if I get a halfway point and I'm good, then I'll keep going and see what I can do. Surprisingly, she finished the entire thing, and then the next year, myself, and my mom, we signed up for Dopey, and that was the first time that we had done Dopey. Kristen did Dopey once, and then my mom ran Dopey with me another year after that. And then she said she was done. I kept going another 3 years, but so that's where we're at right now. But this will be my first race at Disneyland, so I'm really, really excited about it. I've heard a lot of things about it.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to about the Disneyland so much different than the Disney World races?
I think just because of the parks. One, as all of us are Disney fans, it's all about, where Walt started everything. And to me, the Disneyland parks and California Adventure are so different in their own ways. But I don't know, there's something about being at Disneyland. And for me, I'm looking forward to running through Disneyland itself. One part is running, and I hope they don't change it, is running right there at Radiator Springs and California Adventure, and then just running in the streets of Anaheim. I've heard that's a really, really cool experience there, because you get both the Disney, Disneyland, Disney World, Run Disney aspect of it, but then it's also that small town, city race as well. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
So what you're saying
and
is,
of course, hanging out with a bunch of friends as well.
you're saying like the 3 mile stretch of boringness on World Drive is actually through town, where there's going to be people in support.
Right. What I've heard. Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It'd be a nice change.
Right.
Strangers with candy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can't take candy from strangers anymore.
So you have experience with Disneyland. For people who don't know, Ben is a part of the Magic for Less travel company as well. He gets to head out to Disneyland on occasion. I've seen pictures. And what are some tips maybe for just quick runner tips for Disneyland, people who've never been there before?
As far as the parks itself, the one thing that I love about the parks out there is just how close they are. Definitely get the park hopper, just because you'll be over at let's just say Space Mountain at one time, and then you decide, no, I don't want to go here anymore. I want to hop over to Radiator Springs or whatever the case is, and you can look at the wait times, and you have that close availability that you can literally walk over there within 5 or 10 minutes and be at a completely different park. So that to me is really, really great. The Genie Plus is so much, in my opinion, so much better out at Disneyland than at Disney World, just because as soon as you walk through the parks, you don't have to wait until 7 o'clock to get there. So as soon as you walk into the parks, that's when you can purchase it and start making your reservations at that point. But to me, another thing is because everything is so close together, especially like right there in Fantasyland. I mean, you're getting off of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and you're, two minutes later, you're standing in line for Snow White. So it's really, really close in that aspect of it. And to me, that's just what makes it even more special.
I think we're all very much looking forward to the change of scenery out in California. Change of temperature, humidity is not nearly as much of an issue out there. So I think for those of us who are runners, that's going to be really exciting. So what plan are you kind of following now? Because you've got Marine Corps and what are we, 32 days? Is that where we are? 32 days? No, probably more than that.
35 days.
Yeah, 35 days. I was like, when was my flight? See, Jeff, I messed it up again. My boarding time and my I'm actually gonna be there. So 35 days to Marine Corps. Then you've got the 5K and the Fool. So that's a different training too. You gotta get all those miles in for the Fool, and then you're going to California. So what does your training look like? How are you tackling all this?
So in regards to the Marine Corps, I've got 20 miles. I was supposed to do 20 miles this past weekend, but we had band competitions and everything else. So I'm going to try to tackle that on Tuesday. And then I've got a couple other long runs coming up. I've got 24 and then I think 26 miles after that. That's the extent of my training plan that it takes me up to. After that, I'm going to default back into the full marathon training at that point, so wherever that lines up, and I figure that would take me all the way through Walt Disney World Marathon, and then just go right back into the half for Disneyland as well.
Got it. That sounds like a good plan. Kind of what I'm
That's a lot of miles.
A lot of miles.
Do you anticipate challenges?
I always tell all of my kids, because they run a couple of 5Ks with us and everything else, is I'm not going to be the fastest one out there. I know that. So my mentality is just start the race, finish the race, and do your best. That's all.
Yeah.
What challenges do you anticipate going from running the marathon on Sunday, coming home for a couple of days, turning around and flying straight out to California and recovering on those legs to do a half marathon the next weekend? I mean, that's pretty aggressive.
It's definitely, it's definitely going to be the jet lag portion of it, and just sitting still on the airplanes and things like that, I think are going to be a big thing. One thing that my wife got me for Christmas a couple of years ago is those compression sleeves that the air compresses.
Nice.
Oh, they're nice.
Yeah, she got that for me on Amazon, and they're not expensive. I mean, so if you're willing to do the longer races, I think it's a worthwhile investment. I think on Amazon they're like $140. So that's one thing that I think is a worthwhile investment, and I'll travel with those, out to California and everything.
Will you put them on the plane?
Yeah, I wish I could, but you got to plug them in, so they would.
Oh.
Ben goes walking out with a diesel generator onto the plane. This is carry-on item.
Yeah, there's plugs. There's plugs in front of a lot of those seats. I don't know. I fly American. There's always a plug there. I mean, it's worth a shot, Ben. But it's all about your health, man.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Ben,
we'll try that. I'll let you know the outcome.
Do you fly out Sunday night after the marathon, or do you fly out Monday? When do you leave Walt Disney World?
Unfortunately, because we live so close, we will be driving back. So we'll leave Monday morning after the marathon. We'll leave Monday morning and drive back, and then I'll have a couple of days to recoup, and then fly out on Thursday, just to make sure that I get out there, get acclimated, try to adjust for the time zone change and everything else.
The time zone change will actually be in our favor, because that waking up for early races won't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gene.
Except for
Ben, I'm just curious, how much mustard, what in your budget, how much have you allotted for mustard? That's my question.
I'm going to Costco, the couple of days beforehand and getting the big size of them. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, I don't know which dopey it was, but
22
dopies ago, yeah, whatever, 22, 20, 87. Oh, back in 08. I don't know. I was struggling with cramps, and I don't even know what mile 2. I don't know. Mile 18. I don't know. But Ben was running with us, and Ben was our cadence guy at that point, I think. I don't know. And I was talking about cramping up and struggling. Ben reached into, his utility belt or whatever, whatever he called it, and pulled out packets of mustard. And I don't know if there's any science behind it, but it worked for me, and I finished. And it's all because of Ben. Ben is my
It
hero.
was a group effort.
Yeah, Ben's actually training right now with a 230-pound rucksack. So that way,
Nice.
whenever we get out to Disneyland, I'm just going to go Yoda on his back.
Just throw you on his back.
It's going to be full on Yoda through the Dagobah for this one.
That's awesome.
So to get me through runs, sometimes I just sing that Michael Jackson song. Ben, the two of us need look no more.
All right, that took a turn.
That was amazing. Don't act like it wasn't.
We going through the airport, going to a hot dog stand, but not buying any of the hot dogs. It's grabbing the packets of mustard.
Yeah.
I need these. I've got a race I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So looking at week 3 and 4 this week. Week 3, we have our Tuesday, Thursdays. Week 4, we have our Tuesday, Thursdays. We're back down to 3 miles this week on our Saturday. And next week jumps up to 5 miles. So it starts to escalate fairly quickly every other week here, about a mile to mile and a half every other week.
About training.
So, Gene, is your temperatures cooling down? So if you decide that you want to go out and run, is it going to be more?
Yeah, so we've been hitting like 90s, which is good. It's good. My pool is cold, so after a run, I jump in my pool and it's like nice and chilly. But it's not. But like tomorrow, the high is like 80, and the low like in the 60 or 62 or something like that. So I'm definitely going to get a run tomorrow. But we'll have much milder temperatures over the next couple of weeks, and it's not. It'll probably go back up at some point. It's kind of like fake fall, It always does go back up, but it will. It'll end up down. It'll be nice.
Good. Anybody else have any challenges other than finding shoes and putting on shoes that we should get into before we get into these miles, or we think we're good?
I can't think of any other excuses right now. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give you one. And this is a little TMI, but runners will appreciate it. Is when you're on your training runs, take Vaseline or Body Glide or whatever, because I'm doing one of my long runs here recently, and I've done many races and many dopey training runs and dopey challenges and everything else, and I've never had any chafing issues. For whatever reason, that one time I started chafing, and it was awful. So just have that with you, to be able to, apply it if need be, because you never know if you're going to have a medical tent or whatever the case is. And that's what I'm trying to prepare for. Is you would hate to, for the Marine Corps, I'd hate to start chafing at mile 5, but medical tent, but for 5 more miles after that. That would be
that's right.
Just think about that.
Yeah, and there's the water and the medical tent and that race is a little more spread out than I was anticipating. So
yeah, it's definitely a whole lot more sparse than Disney races for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. The whole thing's going to be interesting. I'm already a nervous wreck about it. So
you'll do fine.
Yep, I'm excited to get to see you guys. I'm heading down for the 10K, so it'll be interesting. But
yeah, that'll be awesome.
You're just going to go watch? You're just going to go spectate?
I am going to participate in the 10K.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me and Rye are going to do
That's
the 10K.
awesome.
And then get to hang out for the weekend with everybody that'll be there. So we're looking forward to it.
Cool. That's cool.
So if people want to get a hold of you, Ben, if they have questions about your training, about running, your experiences, if they need to book a room for someplace in Disney, how can they reach you? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. So, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's Ben Lappin, Lappin travel. Just hit me up on that, or on Facebook, through the Be Our Guest Lizards or anything else. You can find me there as well.
Sounds good. Well, appreciate you coming on, talking with us, sharing some of your experiences and
absolutely
some of the excitements coming up for the next fall and winter. And if nobody else has anything, just like to tell everybody just to remember that forward is a pace, and good luck with your training. Have a good night.
Thanks
everybody.
for coming, Ben.
Thanks, guys.
Great to have you.
Thank you,
Have
Ben.
a-
Y'all have a good night.